No one noticed it at first. The night sky looked the same. Stars were still there. The moon still rose. Earth kept turning as it always had. But far above the planet something had changed. In deep space the background noise was gone. For thousands of years, space had never been silent. There was always movement. Radiation. Signals. Old echoes of dead stars. Even empty space whispered. But on that night, the instruments listening beyond the solar system heard nothing. At an observatory in Chile, a young scientist stared at her screen. The data stream had gone flat. No errors. No damage. Just quiet. She checked another system. Same result. Then another. Within minutes, observatories across the world reported the same thing. Deep space had fallen silent as if someone had turned it off. At first, people thought it was a software problem. A shared update. A strange bug. But the silence was too perfect. Too complete. Then the stars began to stop moving. Satellites tracking distant objects noticed something strange. The stars were not shifting as expected. No red shift. No blue shift. It was as if the universe had paused. Astronomers zoomed in. And what they saw made their blood run cold. The stars were not disappearing. They were being blocked. Massive shadows were sliding into place, one by one, far beyond Pluto. Each shadow was larger than any ship humans had ever imagined. Larger than cities. Larger than mountains. These objects moved with perfect order. Not crashing. Not drifting. Positioning. Radar systems woke up next. Then early warning networks. Then military satellites. Each system confirmed the same impossible truth. Something was surrounding Earth. Not one fleet. Not 10. Thousands. Alien warships began to appear on screens as dark shapes against the stars. They formed a ring. Then another ring. Then another, each one farther out, each one bigger than the last. A perfect cage. From the surface of Earth, people still saw stars. But in orbit, the sky was filling with metal and shadow. World governments entered emergency sessions. Military leaders demanded answers that no one had. Scientists argued over models that no longer made sense. No weapons fired. No shields activated. No warnings. The alien fleet did nothing. That was the worst part. Hours passed. Then more ships arrived. The ring grew thicker. The shadows deeper. The silence heavier. Astronomers realized something terrifying. The ships were not pointing weapons at Earth. They were pointing away. Their guns, their energy systems, their defenses, all aimed outward toward the galaxy. Earth was not the target. Earth was the center. A global alert was sent out. Telescopes across the planet were turned upward. Amateur astronomers joined professionals. People streamed live feeds trying to understand what they were seeing. Social media exploded with fear and theories. Some prayed. Some laughed. Some denied it was real. Then a signal appeared. Not on human channels. Not on any known frequency. But it was there. A broadcast so powerful it bent sensors trying to read it. Linguists, AI systems, and code breakers worked together. Slowly, pieces of the message became clear. It was not addressed to Earth. It was addressed to the galaxy. The message spoke of containment, of observation, of a boundary drawn around a single world. Human leaders realized something that made their hands shake. The alien fleet had not come to speak to humanity. They had come to speak about humanity, and the galaxy was listening. Deep space probes detected movement far away. Other civilizations, hidden and silent, had turned their attention toward Earth. But none of them spoke. None of them moved closer. They watched. They waited. The silence was not empty. It was respectful, fearful. As the hours passed, Earth prepared for surrender. Defense systems powered up. Missiles were armed. Plans were made that everyone knew would fail. But the alien fleet remained still. No countdown. No threat. No demand. Just presence. Just pressure. Just time. One senior astronomer finally said what everyone was thinking. "This is not an invasion," he whispered. "This is a judgment." Above Earth, the stars no longer moved. The galaxy had gone quiet. And humanity, standing alone at the center of a silent universe, realized something terrifying. Whatever was happening, it had already begun long before humans noticed the sky had changed. And whatever came next would decide Earth's place forever. The signal did not come with sound. No voice spoke. No image appeared. Yet every deep space sensor on Earth felt it. The signal pressed against instruments like a heavy weight, bending data, warping readings, forcing itself into systems not made to understand it. It was powerful. Too powerful. Engineers had to lower sensitivity just to keep their machines from shutting down. Even then, the message felt incomplete, like humans were listening through a wall that was never meant for them. Slowly, patterns formed. Not words at first. Structure. A format used for announcements. For records. For witnesses. Artificial intelligence systems worked without rest. Linguists fed them ancient languages, alien math theories, signal compression models. Piece by piece, fragments became clear. And what they revealed sent fear through every room on Earth. The message was not asking Earth to surrender. It was not warning of attack. It was a declaration. To all observing civilizations, the signal began. Earth was not named as a listener. Earth was named as a subject. The alien fleet was speaking to the galaxy, not to humans. It spoke of a world placed under observation. A world isolated, not destroyed. A world considered unresolved. Military leaders demanded the signal be answered. Diplomats prepared greetings in every known format. Religious leaders begged for contact. But no reply channel existed. There was no way to speak back. Humanity was being discussed, not addressed. As hours passed, more details emerged. The fleet identified itself not as conquerors but as watchers. Their role was not to fight but to stand guard. Their presence was not punishment. It was prevention. Scientists noticed something else. The message was not new. It had timestamps far older than the fleet's arrival. This declaration had been prepared long ago. Earth was not a sudden concern. Earth had been expected. Far beyond human sensors, other civilizations detected the signal. Some were older than Earth. Some far more advanced. But none of them moved. They did not challenge the fleet. They did not come closer. They did not speak. They went silent. On Earth, panic grew. Markets crashed. Cities filled with fear. People gathered in streets, staring up at a sky that now felt unfamiliar. The stars were still there, but something about them felt distant, blocked, watched. Military analysts studied the alien ships. Their designs were strange, smooth, and dark. No visible engines. No heat trails. No clear weak points. Yet the most disturbing detail was this. The fleet was holding position with extreme care. No orbit decay. No drift. No randomness. As if even the smallest movement could be dangerous. Then came the discovery that chilled every scientist involved. The alien ships were not using shields. They did not need them. Whatever they feared was not outside the formation. It was inside. A private meeting was held between top scientists, generals, and world leaders. One question echoed again and again. What do they think we are? The intercepted signal gave no clear answer. Only warnings. References to past events. Mentions of emergent patterns and uncontrolled variables. Human history was analyzed from the outside. Wars. Technology jumps. Nuclear weapons. Artificial intelligence. Space expansion. From the alien point of view, humanity did not grow. It escalated. But still, no weapons were fired. No demands were made. The fleet waited. Hours became a full day. Then something else happened. One of Earth's oldest deep space probes, long believed to be drifting dead between stars, sent a signal back. It was weak. Broken. But it was human. The probe had detected the fleet weeks ago. It had tried to send a warning, but the signal had been blocked until now. The final line of its data terrified everyone who read it. The fleet arrived before we noticed, the probe reported. They were already in position. Earth had not been surrounded suddenly. It had been surrounded quietly. Without panic. Without resistance. Without humanity knowing. As night fell again across the planet, people looked up at the sky with new understanding. This was not an invasion. It was not a threat. It was a pause. A moment where the galaxy had stopped to look at one small world and decide what it meant. And somewhere beyond the silent fleet, unseen and unheard, the rest of the universe waited to see what Earth would do next. Far beyond the edge of Earth's detection range, something else was watching. Not the fleet. Not humanity. The watchers were older. They did not live on planets like Earth. They did not breathe air or fear death the way humans did. They existed in drifting habitats and artificial worlds, hidden between stars where young civilizations rarely looked. They called themselves observers. For millions of years they had watched new species rise and fall. They recorded first tools, first wars, first space flights. Most civilizations followed patterns. Growth, conflict, collapse. Or growth, control, and slow fading into safety. Humanity did not follow the pattern. That was why the observers were silent now. From their distant view, Earth looked small, low, fragile. But the data around it told a different story. Humanity learned fast. Too fast. In less than 2 centuries, humans had gone from early industry to splitting atoms. From first flight to leaving their planet. From simple machines to thinking machines. Every step came with conflict. Every conflict pushed them forward. The observers had seen this before long ago in a species that no longer existed. That memory alone was enough to make them afraid. The great fleet now surrounding Earth was not born from fear of destruction. It was born from fear of repetition. The observers remembered a civilization that once seemed harmless, curious, creative, emotional. That species had also grown under pressure. War had sharpened them. Danger had united them. They had survived every test. Until one day they had not. The galaxy had paid the price. That was why the observers had sent the call. And the fleet had answered. From the observer's point of view, the fleet's formation was careful, respectful. Every ship was placed to avoid provoking Earth. No weapons aimed inward. No shields raised. This was not a threat display. It was a boundary. A message to everyone else. Do not interfere. Do not provoke. Do not accelerate what is already moving too fast. Across the galaxy, other civilizations understood the meaning at once. They had seen fleets before. Armadas of conquest. Waves of destruction. This was different. This fleet was not there to conquer Earth. It was there to protect the galaxy from what Earth might become. And that frightened them more than any invasion. Some civilizations considered acting. A few even prepared ships. But none moved. The observers had shared old records. Images of dead stars. Broken worlds. Silent systems where life had once been. All caused by a species that had reached too far too fast. No one wanted that story to repeat. On Earth, humans did not know any of this. They saw silence and assumed hostility. They saw ships and assumed danger. But from the galaxy's view, Earth was not a victim. It was a question. A dangerous one. The observers studied human behavior closely. They watched news broadcasts, emergency meetings, military movements. They listened to social networks filled with fear, anger, hope, and denial. Humans argued even now. Some demanded attack. Some begged for peace. Some wanted to hide. Yet beneath the chaos, the observers noticed something strange. Human systems were stabilizing. Power grids held. Networks adapted. Governments, for all their flaws, continued to function. Even fear did not break humanity into complete disorder. Instead of collapsing, humans adjusted. The observers exchanged silent signals among themselves. This was new. Most species panicked when faced with the unknown. Humans panicked too, but they also planned. They adapted under pressure. That was the pattern again. Conflict is fuel. Danger is focus. The observers looked deeper. They studied Earth's history in detail. Not just wars but recovery. Not just destruction but rebuilding. Cities destroyed and rebuilt stronger. Nations fallen and replaced. Ideas erased and rediscovered. Humanity did not simply survive disasters. It learned from them. That worried the observers more than any weapon. If humanity ever left Earth in full force, driven by fear or anger, there was no telling how far they would go. That was why the galaxy chose silence. No threats. No talks. No guidance. To speak to humanity now might push them forward too fast. Better to wait. Better to watch. Better to let humans reveal who they truly were when surrounded, judged, and alone. As Earth turned slowly beneath the ring of silent ships, the observers reached a quiet agreement. Humanity would not be destroyed. Not yet. But it would be tested. Not with weapons. With time. And far below, unaware of the ancient eyes watching them, humanity prepared for the next day, still believing they were trapped. Not knowing the galaxy was holding its breath. Waiting to see if Earth would confirm the greatest fear of the stars. Or prove it wrong. While the galaxy watched, Earth did not sleep. The world looked calm from space. Cities still glowed. Satellites still moved in their paths. There were no launches, no flashes of weapons, no signs of panic visible from orbit. But beneath that calm, humanity was working. In underground rooms, far below cities and oceans, old systems came online. Systems that had not been used in decades. Some had been built during wars that never happened. Others during fears that people had forgotten. They were not weapons. Not yet. They were listeners. Human engineers realized something early. The alien fleet was not hiding. It wanted to be seen. It wanted Earth to know it was surrounded. That meant something important. The fleet expected a reaction. Fear. Anger. Chaos. Humans chose something else. They chose patience. Instead of shouting into space, Earth began to listen. Old radio telescopes were retuned. Deep-sea communication cables were repurposed. Even abandoned satellites were brought back online. Humanity did not send messages. It gathered information. Every signal leak, every power fluctuation, every shadow shift around the alien ships was recorded. Patterns were searched. Gaps were mapped. The fleet was silent, but silence still had shape. Scientists noticed that the alien ships avoided certain alignments. They left small, precise gaps in the formation, never closing them completely. At first, no one understood why. Then someone noticed Earth's rotation. The gaps matched old human launch windows. Not current ones. Ancient ones. Paths used decades ago, long before humanity had strong defenses. The realization spread quietly. The fleet knew human history. Better than expected. Military leaders wanted to act. They argued that waiting made Earth look weak. But the scientists disagreed. Panic was what the fleet expected. Control was not. As days passed, something else became clear. The alien ships were watching Earth's networks. Not content. Behavior. They measured response time. System stability. How quickly humans adapted to stress. Earth systems bent but did not break. Power grids shifted load. Financial systems froze briefly, then stabilized. Communication networks rerouted around damage without human input. Human-made intelligence took over where people slowed. From far away, the observers noticed the change. Earth was no longer reacting randomly. It was synchronizing. One observer flagged a strange detail. Human communication patterns were becoming quieter, not louder. Fear had peaked and passed. What replaced it was focus. In space, the fleet adjusted position slightly. A tiny movement. But it was noticed. Human sensors detected the shift. The change was small, almost polite. But it meant something had changed in the fleet's calculations. Earth was no longer behaving like a trapped world. It was behaving like a thinking one. Deep beneath the oceans, an old system woke fully for the first time. It had been designed as a failsafe, never meant to be used unless Earth faced something beyond war. Its purpose was simple: to understand intent. It analyzed the alien fleet not as an enemy but as a system. A structure built by minds that feared something. The answer came slowly. The fleet was not afraid of Earth's weapons. It was afraid of Earth's choices. That was when humanity made its most important decision. Still no message was sent. Still no weapon was raised. Instead, Earth changed its posture. Orbital traffic slowed. Military movements became visible, but controlled. Defensive, not aggressive. Humanity wanted to be seen thinking. From the observer's point of view, this was unexpected. Most species tried to appear strong or peaceful. Humans tried to appear deliberate. A signal spike appeared near the fleet's outer ring. Not a message. Not a hack. Just a passive echo. Human systems had found a way to reflect the fleet's own signals back to them. Cleanly. Perfectly. The fleet noticed. For the first time, one alien ship rotated. It was a small gesture. But it was not random. The observers went silent. The test had begun. Earth had not begged. Earth had not attacked. Earth had shown understanding. And somewhere in the massive ancient fleet something shifted. Not in position. In opinion. The alien fleet had watched thousands of worlds. They had seen fear in many forms. Panic. Violence. Collapse. Prayer. Silence. They had learned to read these signs and predict what came next. Earth was different. That should have been the first warning. From within the massive command vessel, the fleet's leaders studied the planet below. Human systems were active but calm. No mass launches. No chaotic signals. No desperate messages. Instead, Earth was observing back. That was unexpected. The fleet had planned for every reaction except patience. To understand Earth better, the fleet made a decision. A small one. A careful one. They would look closer. A single ship moved forward, drifting just inside the outer ring. It did not power weapons. It did not raise shields. It extended scanning systems designed to read a planet's technology and intent. This was routine. They had done it before. But Earth was not a routine world. The scan began gently, touching Earth's magnetic field, its communication bands, its orbital traffic. At first, the data flowed normally. Then it slowed. Then it fractured. The ship's systems reported interference. Not damage. Not attack. Resistance. Earth was not blocking the scan. It was confusing it. Human systems were shifting patterns faster than the scan could adjust. Old satellites activated in strange combinations. Signals bounced through deep-sea cables, through the moon, through abandoned probes. The scan tried to lock on. It failed. The alien ship pulled back slightly, recalibrating. This had never happened before. The fleet command paused. Something on Earth was responding intelligently. Not aggressively. Intentionally. The observers noticed the change immediately. Human behavior was no longer just controlled. It was adaptive. The fleet tried again. This time they aimed deeper. Toward Earth's core networks. Toward military systems. Toward artificial intelligence centers. That was the mistake. Earth's systems reacted instantly. Not with force. With closure. Human networks sealed layers that were never meant to be visible. Old protocols activated. Digital structures folded inward like doors quietly locking. The scan found nothing. Not emptiness. Absence. It was as if Earth had decided what it would allow to be seen, and nothing more. The alien ship disengaged fully. For the first time, uncertainty spread through the fleet. This was not a hidden weapon. This was control. From the observer's view, the meaning was clear. Humanity had built systems not only to fight but to think under pressure. Systems that could choose what to reveal and what to hide. Earth had not been defenseless. It had been unreadable. The fleet adjusted formation again. A few ships repositioned, creating more distance from Earth. Not much, but enough. On Earth, scientists saw the shift and said nothing publicly. There was no celebration. No relief. Only focus. Human leaders understood the moment. The fleet had tested Earth. And Earth had responded without anger. That scared them. Within the fleet, debate began. Some argued Earth should be isolated forever. Others warned that continued pressure might force a reaction no one wanted. The observers listened. They compared Earth to the ancient records again. The lost civilization. The one that had grown under threat and eventually broken the galaxy. Earth was similar, but also different. That species had responded with dominance. Humans responded with restraint. And that made the future uncertain. The fleet had made another mistake. They assumed restraint meant weakness. To confirm their judgment, they prepared a final test. A probe would be sent closer to Earth. Not a ship. Not a weapon. A machine. Small. Silent. Invisible to most sensors. Its goal was simple. To see how humans reacted when they believed they were being watched without permission. The probe slipped toward Earth unnoticed. Or so the fleet believed. Deep beneath Earth's surface, systems adjusted. Humanity had detected it the moment it crossed a line no one else could see. The observers felt something they had not felt in ages. Concern. Because if Earth chose to respond now, it would not be out of fear. It would be out of decision. And the galaxy had never seen what humanity did when it chose its next move carefully. The probe moved closer, a silent ghost between the stars. The fleet believed it would record, report, and give them an advantage. They thought humanity would panic, react, or beg. They were wrong. Deep inside Earth's hidden command centers, systems had already detected it. Not as a threat, not as a weapon, but as an observation. A test. And humanity was ready. Instead of firing, instead of sending a desperate message, Earth did something different. It listened. Every signal, every shift in energy, every ripple of the alien probe was recorded, analyzed, and returned, not with force but with clarity. The probe picked up patterns, echoes, and a subtle resistance it could not penetrate. Earth responded in its own language, not aggression, not surrender, but something far older. Something intelligent. A single message was prepared. Short. Precise. Come. Not a threat. Not a plea. A statement. It was sent through channels humans had created long ago, pathways invisible to most sensors. It traveled through deep space cables, bounced off satellites, and reached the fleet. The message was simple. We are aware. We understand. We will act accordingly. No boast. No fear. No challenge. For a moment, the galaxy went silent again. The fleet did not move. The observers did not speak. Even distant civilizations watching waited. The words were not loud. They were not loud enough to shatter worlds. But they were enough. The fleet understood something critical. Humanity had control over its own reaction. The planet had power not through weapons but through knowledge, patience, and calm precision. A captain on the lead ship rotated slowly. The probe backed off, reporting confusion to the command vessel. Sensors could not read Earth's systems. Every attempt to gauge readiness failed. And that was the moment the fleet realized its first mistake. It had assumed that observation would force a reaction. It had assumed that fear or pride would guide human action. It had assumed humans would be predictable. They were not. Across Earth, in underground centers, command teams did not celebrate. They did not broadcast victory. They only prepared for what might come next. Humanity had shown it could be watched, tested, and judged, and still remain unbroken. The fleet adjusted its formation, creating subtle gaps. Not enough to show weakness. Just enough to indicate respect. Observers took note. Human restraint was not fear. It was decision. And in the galaxy, that was far more dangerous than any weapon. From orbit, satellites captured the first visible change. Lights on some alien ships shifted subtly, as if acknowledging understanding. For the first time, the fleet seemed unsure of the next move. Earth remained silent. Calm. Observant. The probe returned to the fleet, unable to provide any useful data. Every attempt to measure human readiness had failed. For the first time, the fleet questioned its mission. The observers whispered among themselves. This was not chaos. This was not surrender. This was growth. Humanity was learning even under judgment. And the galaxy realized something that had never been proven before. The small, blue planet at the center of a massive alien fleet was not trapped. It was ready. Not for war. Not for conquest. For choice. For the first time in the long memory of the stars, humanity had shown the universe a power no one had expected. Not through dominance, not through weapons, but through calm, calculated intelligence. And the fleet understood that any attempt to force a reaction now would be a mistake. Because humanity would act when it decided. And the universe, for the first time, did not know what humans would choose next. The fleet had gathered in perfect formation. Thousands of ships, larger than moons, casting shadows across the stars. They had come to surround, observe, and judge. Yet now, for the first time, they hesitated. The probe had returned useless data. The messages had been minimal. Yet every system on every ship was alive with doubt. Humanity had acted in ways no fleet, no observer, and no ancient record had predicted. On Earth, humans did not celebrate. The world remained quiet. Normal. Calm. People went about their daily lives, unaware that the galaxy had paused to watch them. Scientists monitored every signal, every subtle change in the alien formation. Leaders strategized quietly. Humanity had not surrendered, nor had it acted aggressively. It had chosen restraint, patience, observation. The alien fleet, once confident in its dominance, began to withdraw. Slowly. Methodically. Not all at once, but enough to show a shift. From orbit, satellites captured the subtle movement. Ships rotated, engines glowed faintly, and pathways opened. It was a slow retreat. The fleet commanders were silent. They had no clear report. Every calculation had failed. Every prediction was wrong. Humans had proven something the galaxy had not expected. Intelligence tempered by patience could rival any weapon, any fleet, any empire. Observers recorded the event in meticulous detail. Across distant worlds, advanced civilizations who had watched from afar noted the change. Humanity had passed the test, not because it was the strongest but because it was the most unpredictable. The final message was never sent. There was no broadcast of victory. The galaxy did not cheer and Earth did not respond. It simply existed. Calm. Watching. Ready. And that was enough. In the fleet, internal debates raged. Some ships had been built to destroy planets, to enforce judgment. They now waited, unsure. Orders were meaningless against a species that refused to react the way anyone expected. The fleet had underestimated the human's greatest power, choice. From the observer's perspective, the galaxy understood the truth. Other civilizations had tried to control, to manipulate, to threaten. Most had failed. Many had fallen. Humanity was different. They could be observed, judged, and surrounded, and still remain free in their actions. As the alien ships slowly lifted away from their positions, the gaps in formation grew larger. The massive ring of shadowed metal around Earth began to break apart. The galaxy did not exhale. The fleet did not retreat in fear. But respect passed silently through every star, every distant civilization, every observer hidden between worlds. Humanity had proven it was a force not measured by fleets, weapons, or wars. It was measured by decision, intelligence, and restraint. Deep beneath Earth's oceans in old command centers, systems finally powered down from their quiet vigilance. Scientists looked at the screens. Engineers rested. Leaders nodded, silently aware that they had witnessed history, not through triumph of weapons, but through the triumph of control, focus, and patience. For the first time, humans understood something they had never realized. The galaxy had come to judge them, and they had been found capable not because they fought but because they thought. The alien fleet receded beyond orbit, beyond the moon, beyond even the edge of the solar system. It did not vanish. It simply observed from a distance now, leaving Earth untouched, unthreatened but watched. Observers recorded the event. Notes were filed. Timelines updated. The galaxy now had a new standard for intelligence, restraint, and adaptability. Humans had set the example. And Earth remained alone at the